Shadows of morning descend. A funeral unfolds in a sea of black veils. Upon a lonely hill, a quiet church holds the weight of 3 lost souls. After the final prayer, the crowd whispers empty comforts to the new master. Left alone, Carter admires how his wife's funeral attire clings to her skin. Giselle responds with a cold, piercing glare, suppressing the fury in her throat. She is his wife, forced to play the role of a perfect, silent doll. Now that Carter rules the estate, a chilling shift has taken hold of him. His composure is unnatural. For a man who lost everything, he seems almost satisfied. Their carriage rattles north. Giselle stares into the gray abyss toward their new home. Rose Hill is a place of eternal mist, enough to break any fragile mind. Insanity runs deep in her bloodline, and she fears the fog will claim her. They reach the Gothic manor. Within the cold walls, the staff waits in silence. Lady Giselle and Lord Carter are greeted by Sophia, the veteran headmaid. Sophia welcomes the new mistress warmly, but Carter's icy tone cuts her short. He demands total obedience, reminding Giselle that the servants are merely tools. The master bedroom is prepared, a gilded cage for a marriage without warmth. This is Giselle's first night here. Already, Carter is preparing to leave her. He claims his late brother's business demands his presence. She must dine alone. When she shows no sorrow at his exit, Carter's eyes flash with warning. He issues 2 absolute rules: never wander alone and fulfill every social duty. To him, she is a trophy, a wife meant to perform and obey. With her husband gone, Giselle finally breathes. She lights a cigarette in the dark. A sealed envelope catches her eye. It is an invitation from a certain duchess. Duchess Diet, a widow herself, has summoned her to a lavish tea party. Sophia scoffs at the lack of respect. To host parties during mourning is scandalous. Instead, the maid suggests Lady William's upcoming gala as a more proper debut. Giselle ignores the gossip. She stares at the letter, feeling like a ghost. Later, Carter claims her body in the dark. Giselle remains a hollow vessel. As he sleeps, she watches him. A cold realization begins to take root. Is this her fate? A beautiful puppet by day? A silent toy by night? Loneliness is a poison. Desperate for rest, she goes searching for sleeping draughts. The halls are maze-like. In the gloom, a flickering light catches her attention. Like a moth to a flame, she follows a maid through the shadows. She tries to call out, but the maid is consumed by her own mission. The girl disappears through a heavy door. Giselle's curiosity outweighs her fear. The rules are forgotten. She steps into the cold dampness of the basement. She stalks her prey deeper. Every step feels like a descent into madness. At the final threshold, she pauses. The air here smells of iron and secrets. At first, she suspects a secret lover. But the truth is far darker. The maid's voice trembles, begging for a sign of life from the darkness. This is no tryst. It is a ritual. Something is breathing in that room. The silence that follows is heavy. The entity inside refuses to answer. Driven by a morbid obsession, Giselle leans closer to the crack in the door. A floorboard groans. The sound echoes like a gunshot in the stagnant air. The maid spins around, demanding the shadows reveal their intruder. Giselle steps forward. Giselle questions the maid's presence in the dark basement, but her attention soon shifts elsewhere. She scans the shadows for a hidden voice. There, a man lies motionless on the cold floor. Sensing looming disaster, the maid frantically tries to shield Giselle's eyes from the forbidden sight. Discovery means death, but it's too late. Giselle stares, wondering if that broken soul is human. Was it once a child? Panic seizes the maid as she desperately implores her mistress. She begs her to retreat and forget this nightmare. Yet, Giselle's heart aches for the caged prisoner. Her obsession ignites. She cannot walk away. Lost in argument, they fail to see the movement. The creature stirs. The maid remains fixated on dragging Giselle away from the iron bars. She whispers of Master Carter's blood oath of secrecy, but Giselle only sees the cruelty of the cage. What sin demands such chains? Her mind burns with questions that no warning can ever extinguish. Ignoring the terrified maid, the truth reveals itself with a sudden, violent clarity. Predatory hunger twists his features. Amber eyes ignite in the dark as he lunges forward. He snaps at the trembling maid, but in a heartbeat, Giselle's protective instincts take command. She throws the maid aside, narrowingly avoiding tragedy. For a second, the danger seems to pass, but the beast finds a new target. Iron-like fingers grip her leg as fangs sink deep. The secret is out, he's a monster. White-hot agony flares as the maid screams in pure terror. "Get help," Giselle gasps. She's left alone, paralyzed by the creature's overwhelming, supernatural strength. He drinks her life force greedily. This is no man, it's a devil. Dizziness washes over her senses. Death's cold hand reaches out. With fading strength, she feebly struggles against her primal attacker. Will she see dawn? To perish in this filth after a life of misery feels so cruel. As if sensing her despair, the creature abruptly halts his feast. The bloodlust suddenly vanishes. His gaze softens into something hauntingly calm. For a breathless moment, their souls finally collide. He gently brushes away her tear and whispers a soft apology. Then, darkness claims her. Morning light breaks. 𝓕𝓻𝓾 awakes with a bandaged limb, a permanent memento of the basement horror. She faces her cold husband, 𝓗𝓼𝓫. Beside them stand the headmaid Sophia and the witness. Sophia delivers the grim medical report. She will live, but the physical mark will never fade. A scar for a secret. 𝓗𝓼𝓼's expression is thunderous, his aristocratic mask slipping into pure rage. He humiliates her before the staff. Once alone, his verbal assault sharpens into something far more sinister. The guilt-ridden maid flees, leaving 𝓕𝓻𝓾 to face 𝓗𝓼𝓼's twisted, patriarchal fury alone. "You disobeyed me!" He sneers that her wound is a fitting price for her reckless curiosity. His threats turn dark, nearly vowing to strip away her future as a mother entirely. She pleads for mercy until he relents. Lighting his pipe, the master begins his dark confession. He knew the basement's secret couldn't stay hidden forever. He just didn't expect her to find it. Her defiance accelerated his plans. He underestimated the fire burning within his supposedly quiet wife. But how did such a nightmare end up beneath their feet? The truth is truly grotesque. It was a legacy of madness. 𝓗𝓼𝓼's father was a collector of the macabre and the forbidden. From auctions of the occult, he brought home a flower when 𝓗𝓼𝓼 was only 10. A blood-drinking blossom in human form. Upon the patriarch's death, the elder brother purged the collection. Yet, this creature defied disposal. They tried every violent method to extinguish its unnatural life. Steel and starvation failed. In the end, the brother perished, leaving the immortal beast behind. A blood flower? 𝓕𝓻𝓾 is haunted. She senses a human soul trapped within that rapidly aging form. What is its fate? 𝓗𝓼𝓼 ponders cruel experiments, treating the sentient being as a mere specimen. He wishes to test the limits of its suffering, searching for a way to finally end it. Or perhaps he'll sell the creature to the highest bidder in the dark underworld of collectors. As he speaks, a dangerous smile touches 𝓕𝓻𝓾's lips. She's already planning her return to the basement. 𝓕𝓻𝓾 prowls the basement halls when a sudden voice breaks the silence. It's the maid, trembling as she begs for mercy for last night's chaos. Ignoring the apologies, 𝓕𝓻𝓾 reveals she's been searching for her. The girl misreads her gaze, fearing a brutal punishment is finally coming. She bows low, bracing for whatever cruelty her madam might dish out. But a twist arrives. 𝓕𝓻𝓾 isn't looking for blood today. She demands the basement keys to watch the caged beast in secret. The maid's jaw drops at such a forbidden and dangerous request. She hesitates, asking if Master 𝓗𝓼𝓼 permitted this illicit visit. 𝓕𝓻𝓾 shifts gears, offering a heavy bribe to buy the girl's silence. Panic sets in as the maid fears her master's lethal, soul-crushing wrath. She knows getting caught means her life in this manner is over. "Our secret," 𝓕𝓻𝓾 whispers, promising enough wealth for a new life. The girl is baffled by her mistress's obsession with the basement monster. Refusing to hand over the keys, she offers to lead the way. Together, they descend into the cold, suffocating darkness of the cellar. The creature sits huddled, looking more like a frightened, broken child. 𝓕𝓻𝓾 is shocked. It has grown unnaturally fast since last night. The maid was too paralyzed by fear to see its monstrous transformation. With no men around, Sophia handles all the house's heavy burdens. 𝓕𝓻𝓾 wonders if this beast truly craves human flesh and blood. Rumors linger of a near-fatal bite from the creature's jagged jaws. Sophia's warning was clear: stay far away from the thing in the dark. Is it a man-eater? 𝓕𝓻𝓾 decides to test its hunger herself. She sends the maid away, remaining alone with the terrifying beast. Left alone, 𝓕𝓻𝓾 gazes at the creature with intense, dark curiosity. The maid returns with bread, praying for her mistress's safety. But the beast doesn't move, ignoring the food with hollow eyes. It hides its head, appearing more like a shy, lost soul. Driven by curiosity, the maid asks why her madam is drawn to it. "I refuse to be an obedient wife," 𝓕𝓻𝓾 admits with cold defiance. Emboldened, the maid asks if the master is frequently violent with her. A sharp look from 𝓕𝓻𝓾 ends the girl's dangerous line of questioning. Softening, the mistress finally asks the girl's name. It is 𝓗𝓼𝓾. Only 19, the same age 𝓕𝓻𝓾 was when her marital trap closed. She warns that men only show their demons after the wedding. A husband's true, petty nature is a secret kept behind high walls. Find what triggers him. 𝓕𝓻𝓾 advises with bitter, lived experience. 𝓗𝓼𝓾 finally understands the silent war her mistress is fighting daily. Pity takes hold. 𝓗𝓼𝓾 reveals the basement key's secret hiding spot. She hints that she'll be sleeping when 𝓕𝓻𝓾 makes her move. If the keys vanish, 𝓗𝓏 will simply claim total, blissful ignorance. It's an invitation to steal a spark of shared, female rebellion. 𝓕𝓸𝓾𝓼 catches the signal. Her plan for the creature is taking root. Later that day, Sophia arrives with a very grave, unsettling expression. An invitation to Countess William's gala arrives, but 𝓕𝓸𝓾 feels only a cold dread. Then, a reply appears. Duchess 𝓗𝓾 responds to 𝓕𝓸𝓾's letter, offering a shallow apology for the wound staining 𝓕𝓸𝓾's pale leg. She blames a stray dog, believing Carter's lies. She apologizes for intruding while 𝓕𝓸𝓾 remains in mourning. Yet, her obsession leaks through. She desperately craves a meeting, hoping 𝓕𝓾 finds comfort in Rose Hill. She whispers of a face-to-face encounter, eager to finally unmask the mysterious woman no one has seen. After a hollow night with her husband, 𝓕𝓼 sneaks into the darkness to find her secret prisoner. She approaches the creature with trembling words, offering her name and begging for a glimpse of its identity. Silence greets her. Frustrated, 𝓕𝓼 demands it speak, certain that a human soul lingers within that monstrosity. Still, only shadows answer. Realizing words are futile, she continues to speak into the oppressive, heavy gloom. She declares her daily visits, promising the creature her own blood to satiate its primal, ravenous hunger. Once a week, she bargains, knowing any more would drain her life, a dangerous sacrifice for a beast. She pleads for mercy, remembering the agonizing pain. Suddenly, the creature's eyes flicker with a strange intensity. 𝓕𝓼𝓾 reveals the jagged scar on her leg, the mark of its teeth. The beast finally truly looks. Regret clouds its gaze as it crawls closer, drawn to the damage it inflicted. 𝓕𝓼𝓾 senses a shift. She wonders if it seeks blood or forgiveness. The memory of that first agonizing bite haunts her skin. Terrified of the pain returning, she recoils. Yet, a memory of its whispered apology stays her trembling hand. It had apologized before she fainted. Choosing trust over fear, she allows the forbidden creature to approach. A rough tongue laps at her wound. 𝓕𝓼𝓾 freezes, caught between confusion and a strange, dark intimacy. She slips, collapsing onto the cold stone floor. The creature halts, its predatory focus turning into something else. It continues its rhythmic licking of her scar. 𝓕𝓼𝓾 sits paralyzed, drowning in a sea of unsettling emotions. The scene shifts to a grand ballroom, where crystal chandeliers illuminate the mask-wearing elite of high society. 𝓕𝓼𝓾 and Carter grace Countess Williams's event. The hostess beams, ecstatic to see the elusive couple arrive. 𝓕𝓼𝓾 looks radiant, a diamond among stones. The Countess offers her gratitude, mindful of their recent family tragedy. Carter's brothers were buried only days ago. He plays the mourning husband perfectly, his gratitude a cold mask. He urges 𝓕𝓼𝓾 to mingle, pushing her into the den of vipers to build her own social standing. Isolated and friendless, 𝓕𝓼𝓾 is a lamb among wolves. The Countess swoons over Carter's seemingly devoted nature. 𝓕𝓼𝓾 remains silent, hiding her resentment. She knows the truth. Carter's heart is as hollow as his words. They both know his care is a lie. But is what follows fate, or Duchess 𝓗𝓾's growing obsession? 𝓕𝓼𝓾 had avoided the Duchess's grasp, but the predator has found her here, at this very gala. A servant announces Duchess 𝓗𝓾's arrival. A ripple of nervous whispers sweeps through the ballroom like wildfire. Eyes follow her every move, fingers pointing in judgment. The Duchess enters, bathed in scandalous, dark rumors. The chilling reception doesn't faze her. She commands the room, a black rose blooming amidst the colorful crowd. She steals the spotlight effortlessly. Lady Williams prepares to greet her, despite the venomous gossip filling the air. Duty forces the Countess to welcome her. Even a scandalous Duchess remains a guest of the highest rank. Their reunion is laced with poison. The Duchess wastes no time, casting sharp shadows over the Countess's hospitality. She mocks the event as a mere doll party, a stinging insult to the lady's hard-earned social effort. The Countess hides her sting with a forced laugh, but the Duchess has only one goal tonight. She demands to see 𝓕𝓼𝓾, feigning concern for the injury she's become so strangely obsessed with lately. Unaware of the danger, the Countess points the predator toward her prey to escape her chilling presence. Their gazes collide. 𝓕𝓼𝓾 is struck by her rival's towering, ethereal beauty and her unsettling, piercing focus. Why is she so fixated? The Duchess wears a predator's smile, promising a confrontation that cannot be escaped. Carter abandons 𝓕𝓼𝓾 to work the room. Alone and vulnerable, she is approached by a trio of gossiping noblewomen. They corner her, eager to spill their secrets. 𝓕𝓼𝓾 listens, sensing the heavy weight of their warnings. Stay away from the Duchess, they hiss. But 𝓕𝓼𝓾's spirit is not so easily broken by nameless fears. She demands the truth. A young lady leans in, whispering of the Duke's mysterious death 5 years ago. A suspicious tragedy now. Everyone whispers the Duchess killed him. She didn't shed one tear. The noble circle hums with malice. Giselle listens, though she finds their petty gossip utterly exhausting. They claim the Duchess is a social disaster, rude, awkward, and a total blight on any party. Speak of the devil! The Duchess emerges like a ghost, sending the gossips into a sudden panic. Giselle remains unfazed, bowing with a cool elegance as the Duchess inquires about her condition. A formal invitation follows. Since letters failed, the Duchess insists Giselle visit her manor instead. Giselle agrees, sparking a rare smile from the cold noblewoman before she departs the scene. The gossip girls are devastated, certain Giselle is now trapped in the Duchess's sinister web. They pity her, warning that a childless widow is a social dead end not worth her time. They urge her to make excuses, but Giselle's smirk tells a very different, rebellious story. After a long day of social chess, Giselle has one more secret appointment to keep. She creeps toward the basement, descending into the dark to face her hidden, forbidden obsession. This time, she brings cookies, a sweet lure for the wild creature lurking in the shadows. Its wariness melts away as Giselle feeds it, the monster gorging on the simple, sugary treats. Giselle's heart flutters with a strange joy. She reaches out, softly patting the creature's head. His monstrous aura fades before her touch. A dangerous obsession begins to bloom in her heart. He is perplexed by her lack of fear. "Why aren't you terrified of me?" he whispers. "You are no monster," she whispers, her pity warping into a dark, forbidden fascination. Morning brings tension. Giselle's maid, Anne, is cornered and visibly shaken by her mistress's presence. Giselle demands male clothing, but Anne wants to end this dangerous, secret game immediately. "You're already an accomplice," Giselle reminds her coldly, binding the girl to her forbidden path. Sophia interrupts the brewing storm, leading an elderly man into Giselle's private, tense sanctuary. It's Dr. Zimpel. Giselle wonders why a new doctor has been summoned to her side. She follows them upstairs, her mind racing with suspicion about this unexpected medical visit. The doctor begins a barrage of personal questions, digging into her family's medical dark history. He asks about her mental state and her sleep, but then he crosses a line. The moment he inquires about her monthly cycle, Giselle's blood begins to boil with rage. She answers, but inside, a storm is brewing. Why is he probing into her fertility? Flashback to a twisted auction. A final item is revealed to a crowd of greedy nobles. It was the creature, long before it was locked away in Carter's suffocating, dark basement. The auctioneer touts him as a blood-drinking immortal, but the crowd only sees a boy. They are unimpressed by his delicate face until a gunshot rings out, shattering the heavy silence. A demonstration of immortality. The memory jolts the creature awake in its cold iron cage. Confused and terrified, the boy realizes it was just a nightmare of his tragic past. A sliver of sunlight pierces the gloom. He reaches for it, desperate for a touch of warmth. The light stings his skin like fire, forcing him back into the lonely, dark corners. Back in the manor, a slap echoes. Giselle strikes Sophia for the humiliation of the doctor. She thinks Sophia is mocking her, but the truth is a much sharper, colder blade. It was Carter's idea, Sophia confesses. On cue, the master of the house finally arrives. Carter enters with an air of cold superiority while the staff fusses over his appearance. Giselle doesn't hold back, erupting in fury over the invasive, insulting check on her womb. Fury ignites between them. This domestic dispute is spiraling into a psychological war. Carter sneers, ordering her to act like a proper noble and show him total respect. "Respect is earned," she retorts, her sudden defiance shocking the man who thought he owned her. She shatters his pride, calling him a coward, a strike he never saw coming. Branding him a coward for fearing the shadows, Giselle ignites Carter's explosive fury until his rage boils over. A sharp strike sends her crashing down, but Giselle's defiance burns. She shatters a vase, venting her silent agony. Carter masks his shame with arrogant mockery, demanding to know why she's destroyed his property for no reason. The tension snaps when Carter realizes the servants witnessed his cruelty. Their whispers echo like a judging storm. He struts away with false bravado, leaving his wife broken on the floor, though humiliation eats at his ego. Deep in the dark, the creature stirs. He tastes her essence on the air, a heavy scent of iron and heartbreak. When she returns to his cage, he gently touches the swelling bruise on her cheek, whispering a worried question. She's stunned he can see her pain in this abyss. This beast possesses eyes that pierce the darkest veil. Feeding his dark curiosity, she confesses the truth. This mark was a cruel gift from her own husband. Giselle wears a fragile mask of smiles, but the creature sees the hollow ache hidden beneath her porcelain skin. He recalls her hushed warnings to the maid. She knew the dangers of a violent man all too well. Remembering her advice to choose love carefully, he realizes this wasn't the first time she had tasted his steel. Though her blood stained the floor, she found solace in one fact: this monster actually remembered her name. She hadn't come for pity, but to fulfill a dark oath, a forbidden offering of her own life's blood. Clutching a blade to avoid suspicious bite marks, she prepares to bleed for the shadow dwelling in her basement. But the cold steel terrifies her. The thought was simple, yet the reality of the blade felt like death. The creature stops her hand, offering a more intimate solution. His eyes gleam with a strange, protective hunger. He tastes the blood from her bruise, a tender yet chilling act that makes Gisèle's heart race with confusion. A primal sensation washes over her, forcing her to pull away. He apologizes, sensing her sudden, flickering unease. She claims it's nothing, convincing herself his touch was comfort, not a calculated seduction meant to unravel her soul. Yet internally, she's reeling from her own arousal. As she strokes his hair, he ponders the meaning of seduction. The innocent question makes the beast blush. Meanwhile, the day arrives for Gisèle to face the doctor's sharp needle. Sophia ushers in the physician. Gisèle complains of the irritation, unaware of the miracle that has taken place. The doctor warns of a permanent scar, noting how deep the jagged wound had pierced her fragile flesh. He offers advice for the recovery, slowly unwinding the bandages only to freeze in utter, speechless shock. Everyone stares. The doctor demands to know who treated her. The wound has vanished as if by divine intervention. Not a single mark remains. The scars have dissolved into smooth, flawless skin, defying every medical law. Gisèle reminds him of his grim prognosis, but the old man is flustered by the impossible recovery before him. He stands by his diagnosis. The wound was deep, making this occurrence all the more baffling and terrifying. He blames her youth for the miracle, the only logical shield against the truth that defies his understanding. Despite his confusion, he moves to remove the useless stitches, while Gisèle's mind begins to piece together the mystery. Shocked by her pristine skin, she realizes the source of this magic. A dangerous theory takes root in her heart. Standing before a mirror, she seeks one final proof. She needs to see the truth reflected in her own eyes. The bruise on her cheek is gone. The dark mark of her husband's wrath has been wiped clean away. Both wounds share a single, forbidden commonality. They were both licked clean by the monster in the dark. Driven by obsession, she descends once more. She begins calling out names, testing the air of the basement. The creature watches her antics, baffled. He finally speaks, asking what game she is playing in his shadows. She's searching for a name that fits his wild soul, fluttering through titles that all feel far too small. She wants something soft to match his mane, but the creature is focused on a different change in her. He notices her day clothes immediately. For the first time, he sees her as the world sees her. She realizes he's only ever seen her in nightgowns, hidden away under the cover of the midnight hour. Sitting comfortably by his cage, she offers him her complete trust, sensing no threat from the beast within. She pauses her search for his name to confront the truth. She asks about his miraculous, healing touch. Teasingly, she compares him to a cat licking its wounds, but his response is filled with a heavy gravity. He denies the comparison with an intense stare, marking the beginning of a bond that will soon consume them. His words draw a soft laugh, but her breath hitches when a pale hand reaches through the iron bars to graze her cheek. After an eternity, he pulls away with a shy tremor. A heavy, suffocating silence hangs between them until he finally speaks once more. He whispers a secret name, the one his brother gave him long ago, pleading for her to acknowledge the man beneath the monster's skin. The weight of his forgotten humanity crushes her heart. Realizing she ignored his soul, a wave of paralyzing guilt washes over her. Unable to bear his gaze, she flees the shadows of the basement, leaving him alone to wonder why she vanished so suddenly. Emerging from the shadows, Gisèle's heart nearly stops when she faces the piercing gaze of the head maid, Sophia. Gisèle quickly weaves a web of lies, but her pale face tells a far more dangerous story to the veteran maid. As the mistress retreats, Sophia's suspicion curdles into icy dread. Something sinister was brewing in this house of secrets. Sophia reaches for the basement handle only to find it unlocked. Has the forbidden seal finally been broken by Gisèle? Panicked, Gisèle storms into her chambers, frantically shedding her suffocating ball gown as the memory of the creature burns within her. Remorse floods her soul as she sinks into bed. She had been so cruel to the forbidden thing lurking downstairs. Isaac? The name burns like a brand. She recoils, realizing he has a history she dared to ignore. She sees the haunting truth of his humanity, yet she has caged him like a common beast, just like the world would. How does Isaac see her now? Does he despise her for playing God with his life? She fears her own arrogance. Equality is what she craves, not dominion. Elsewhere, Carter descends into the neon-soaked district of sins for his pleasure. Flanked by an escort, 𝓗𝓼 is intercepted. A woman throws herself at him, her predatory grace masking her true intent. His reputation precedes him. The ladies joke about his stamina, questioning if age has finally stolen the old man's bite. Cash is the only language that matters. 𝓗𝓼 glows with vanity as he pays for their shallow and fleeting affection. But a chilling presence catches his eye. Roxy sits alone, radiating a dark energy that sets his nerves on edge. He asks his companion about her, but the warning he receives only fuels his hunger for the forbidden Roxy. Roxy is dangerous, yet 𝓗𝓼 ignores the alarm bells. Meanwhile, back in the stifling world of high society, it has been one gala after another. Giselle is suffocating, tired of the fake smiles and hollow luxury of her noble life. The carriage ride was hollow. Giselle pondered the Duchess's empty promises of friendship. Silence had followed that invitation. Not a single word reached her since that day. She brushed the thought aside. The biting winter air was already claiming the horizon. Back at the mansion, the secret began. Anne arrived with the forbidden package. Her father's old garments were hidden inside, the perfect disguise for a lady's mission. Giselle handed over her precious earrings, a heavy bribe for a maid's absolute loyalty. Anne's eyes filled with concern. Her mistress seemed to be fading into a ghost. A fragile smile masked her inner turmoil. The basement was calling to her soul. Weeks had passed in agonizing avoidance. She finally understood her heart's forbidden craving. Above, life continued its mundane rhythm. Below, the monster's hunger turned into lethal madness. Isaac paced his cage like a predator. Had his goddess truly abandoned him forever? A dark conflict raged within him. He feared his own bloodlust would destroy her, but his obsession outweighed his restraint. He could no longer endure the lonely silence. The iron lock snapped like a twig. The beast was free from his chains. Night draped over Rose Hill. Giselle sought refuge in her husband's cold, marital bed. 𝓗𝓼 lay waiting in the shadows. His observant gaze was sharper than she realized. "You sleep so peacefully now," he whispered. His words felt like a sudden trap. Panic surged through her veins. Had he watched her descend into the darkness below? She maintained her porcelain mask. The air in the room became suffocatingly heavy. They exchanged hollow, formal words. The distance between them was a vast, icy canyon. Their stiff conversation finally ended. Giselle closed her eyes, her heart pounding in fear. She tried to sleep, but she knew her heart no longer belonged to this world. Ignoring his suspicion, she returned to the basement. Hiding the secret was impossible. Her obsession with the hidden creature had already taken control. Giselle is haunted by Isaac's inhuman nature, yet her heart betrays her husband for this monster. She tries to bury this obsession, but he invades her very dreams and soul. Deep in slumber, Giselle is unaware as Isaac clings to her window like a silent predator. He slips inside, eyes locked onto his sleeping beauty with a gaze of haunting adoration. Then, he sees 𝓗𝓼. Pure, murderous instinct flares within the beast's veins at the sight. One strike could end her husband, but Giselle's eyes snap open in sudden terror. A stifled cry. To protect her husband, she tries to lure the creature away. Isaac has other plans. He grabs her hand, leaping into the midnight abyss together. A terrifying free fall. Death seems certain until they land, cushioned and miraculously unharmed. He took the entire impact. Giselle stares at her monstrous savior in absolute shock. Is he insane? She wants to scream, but the words die in her throat. Isaac is weeping. Seeing his tears, her anger instantly dissolves into a strange pity. He looms over her, a shadow of raw emotion, pinning her to the cold earth. She struggles until a warm tear splashes onto her cheek, paralyzing her very soul. "I missed you." Those 3 words shatter Giselle's fragile resolve in an instant. He mourns her broken promise, having waited alone in the dark for her return. "Do you not care?" His voice breaks. Her answer is a desperate, forbidden kiss. A deep, sinful embrace. Giselle fears she's finally surrendered her sanity to this dark desire. Was it the dream? Or the sight of a monster crying for her love? Passion ignites. A sharp bite, torn silk, and the scent of obsession fill the air. The ground isn't enough. They move their dangerous, heated game inside the mansion walls. Walking through the silent halls, hands locked, they defy every law of her marriage. Logic screams to stop, but her heart is already a prisoner to the moment. They reach the sanctuary of the bath, the steam blurring the lines of reality. In the water, the beast turns shy. The fierce creature cannot even meet her eyes. "Are you blushing?" she teases, sensing his sudden, endearing vulnerability beneath the surface. She claims she only needs to wash away the night's filth and his chaotic touch. After all, he was the one who shredded her nightgown in his frantic hunger. Isaac fidgets, a predator reduced to a repentant child in her presence. His eyes overflow with guilt for the ruin he caused to her clothes. 𝓕𝓻 traces his features, mesmerized by the duality of the man and the beast. The urge to tease is strong, but she asks for his healing touch instead. "Heal this mark too," she whispers, remembering how he mended her wounds before. Questions haunt her. How did he escape his cage? Who helped him find her? But the warmth of the water and his presence lull her into a silent truce. It feels like a dream, so she decides to let the world burn tonight. A beautiful, twisted secret. 𝓕𝓻 buries her doubts deep within her heart. Isaac confesses his nightmare, the paralyzing fear that she had finally abandoned him. The weight of his obsession leaves her breathless, unable to find a response. "Remember my name," he pleads. She hasn't forgotten. Then, the true fire begins. In the heat of passion, their world is shattered by a maid's sudden approach. 𝓕𝓻 freezes. Luckily, the maid suspects nothing, seeing only her mistress alone. A lie about a nightmare buys them time, though the maid remains confused. Why would the lady of the house prepare her own bath like a commoner? 𝓕𝓻 dismisses her, heart pounding, as the maid warns of the treacherous midnight chill. Relief washes over her as she escapes detection, yet the chilling realization hits one wrong move could end everything. As 𝓕𝓻 and Isaac's forbidden affair ignites, a darker truth emerges. Rose Hill harbors more beasts than just one. The town is infested. In a distant mansion, a noble woman's life force is drained as she whispers secrets to her predator. Between rhythmic gasps, she questions a mysterious figure named Penny, unaware of the bloodthirsty power she truly serves. The predator is revealed as Duchess 𝓗𝓾, the infamous Penny, whose thirst for blood is matched only by her influence. Penny recounts a handled crisis, but hungers for deeper truths, masking her lethal intent behind a facade of cold, calculated assurance. The Duchess claims the informant is exactly her type, a chilling remark that sparks a flash of bitter jealousy in her companion. New players enter this twisted game. For Isaac and 𝓕𝓻, their night of sin becomes an indelible memory. Isaac is haunted by the warmth of her touch, his mind consumed by the forbidden echo of their previous night. The morning light brings a dangerous revelation. Carter notices his wife's strange glow and demands to know her secret. 𝓕𝓻's heart belongs to the basement now. Carter is a stranger. Her every thought is anchored to the monster beneath. Domestic life feels like a cage. Her husband's presence is hollow, while the memory of Isaac burns with intoxicating desire. At the Duchess's estate, a heavy farewell unfolds. A lover prepares to leave, leaving the powerful Penny desperate for more. The visitor sneers at the Duchess's desperate affection, repulsed by the cloying sweetness of a woman who usually commands fear. "Address me by name," Olivia snaps, shattering the Duchess's romantic delusions with a cold, sharp blade of authority and indifference. After a lingering kiss, Olivia vows to return before the moon swells to full, leaving a trail of obsession in her wake. The Duchess stammers, her regal poise crumbling as Lady Olivia departs. Even her servants sense the uncharacteristic, suffocating tension. Ignoring her servant's concern, the Duchess issues a sharp command: summon 𝓕𝓻 immediately. The next phase of the plan begins. After cleansing herself, 𝓕𝓻 descends. Isaac catches her scent from afar, tracking her heartbeat as it quickens with every step. The moment she enters his dark sanctuary, Isaac lunges not to kill, but to trap her in a crushing, desperate embrace. She scolds him through trembling breaths. He had already escaped his cage, waiting for her like a predator in the dark. He is breathtaking in the fine clothes she provided, though the disheveled shirt reveals a raw, untamed edge that fascinates her. As she fumbles with his laces, Isaac's newfound confidence overwhelms her. His gaze is a physical weight upon her skin. "I missed you," he whispers. The raw honesty in his voice makes her flush with a shamefully delightful, overwhelming heat. Her eyes stay locked on his collar, too shy to meet his gaze as she works. Then, she notices the shattered lock. The cage door hangs uselessly. The heavy iron lock lies on the floor, pulverized by a strength that defies all logic. He could have left at any time. Why stay in this dungeon? The realization that he waited for her is terrifying. To her, he is an innocent youth. Yet the world brands him a monster, a blood-drinking anomaly that shatters nature's laws. While they lose themselves in the basement, Anne waits at the mansion, her heart heavy with dread for her mistress's safety. Rumors of the Duchess are poison. They say she fears the sun and stalks the night a shadow no person should cross. Back at the estate, Anne frets as the candles burn low, haunted by the mystery of 𝓕𝓻's late-night disappearance. The clock strikes a haunting hour, and Anne's anxiety peaks. She knows the Duchess is a woman of dangerous shadows. While other maids dismiss the delay, Anne feels the weight of the rumors surrounding the woman who summoned her lady. Duchess 𝓗𝓾 is a ghost in high society, a figure of whispers who has never once stepped into the sunlight. These dark tales fill Anne with dread, praying her mistress returns safely from a den of such atmospheric mystery. Giselle arrives at the sprawling Toad estate, breathless at the sheer, suffocating scale of the Gothic architecture before her. The Duchess stands at the threshold like a queen of the night, her smile welcoming yet chillingly sharp and predatory. An apology for the late hour follows, but Giselle is paralyzed by the Duchess's towering, almost inhumanly graceful physical presence. Recovering her poise, Giselle bows deeply, though she cannot help but feel dwarfed by the Duchess's magnificent, intimidating frame. She forces her eyes away to avoid being rude, yet the otherworldly beauty of the Duchess's servants captures her attention. Tea is served in a room thick with tension, the Duchess playing the perfect hostess while masking her true, dark intentions. Giselle's skin crawls. She cannot meet those piercing eyes, feeling like a bird trapped under the gaze of a hawk. The Duchess's stare is relentless and unsettling, as if she is peeling back Giselle's skin to see the secrets beneath. "Is the tea not to your taste?" the Duchess inquires, her voice a low, velvet purr that vibrates with hidden power. Giselle finds no flaw in the porcelain cup, yet the Duchess has a soul-stripping way of making one feel utterly exposed. Choked by a suffocating tension, Giselle desperately forces a conversation to escape this trap. She praises the Duchess's new bob, noticing its striking, shorter length since their last meeting. The idle chatter dies quickly. Duchess 𝓗𝓾𝓼 finally reveals the dark reason for this invitation. She offers a cold apology. Her secret lover's sudden arrival threw her world into chaos. Giselle freezes. This woman speaks of her scandalous forbidden affair with such chilling indifference. Though the Duke is long dead, the Duchess's obsession with her lover feels dangerously wrong. The atmosphere shifts. Duchess 𝓗𝓾𝓼 stares intensely, admitting Giselle is exactly her favorite type. Heart racing, Giselle deflects the advance, desperately praising the mansion's architecture and the weather. Praying she misheard that seductive bait, she cuts the small talk to end the tension. "Why am I truly here?" she demands. The Duchess finds her bold defiance incredibly cute. 𝓗𝓼 plays coy, weaving a web of lies about wanting a simple, innocent friendship. Giselle sees through the mask but chooses to dance with this devil for now. She strikes back, digging into the bloody rumors surrounding the Duchess's late, powerful husband. Whispers suggest she murdered the Duke. Because of this, the high society shuns her completely. "I'll be your friend," Giselle gambles, "but only if we share every dark, honest secret." With a predatory, beautiful grin, the Duchess accepts this dangerous pact of total honesty. She claims the Duke died from a heart attack in bed, a blatant, mocking lie. Now, the predator strikes. The Duchess asks about the nightmare hidden in Giselle's basement. The forbidden beast, the monster that feasts on human flesh beneath the 𝓗𝓼 estate. Giselle's blood runs cold as the Duchess names the hidden creature, the mysterious Isaac. Servants always talk, 𝓗𝓼 mocks, relishing the sight of Giselle's visible, trembling panic. The previous lady's terror confirmed the truth. A demonic secret rots in that dark cellar. Giselle's heart breaks for her captive monster while the Duchess drinks in her misery. But the interrogation snaps shut as a frantic servant bursts in with terrifying news. Disaster has struck. Olivia, the Duchess's secret lover, is undergoing a violent, bloody transformation. Terror strikes both women. One fears for her monster, the other for her dying love. Abandoned, Giselle recalls Isaac's tragic confession about the day they first met in darkness. He looked like a fragile child until her own blood awakened the beast within. Starvation tears his soul apart, turning his immortal body into a vessel of pure agony. He chose that iron cage to protect the world from his own insatiable, violent hunger. A noble monster, shackled by choice to keep his hands from staining with innocent blood. Panicked, Giselle rushes to silence the Duchess before her beloved Isaac is hunted down. She finds a nightmare. Olivia, a creature like Isaac, is feasting on the Duchess's neck. The creature lunges, death nears, until a golden knight, Leo, strikes with lethal precision. Leo freezes. He catches the unmistakable, heavy scent of another monster lingering on Giselle. Is it Isaac's mark? Driven mad by that scent, Olivia screams and charges again. Leo becomes a human shield, offering his own flesh to subdue the thrashing, hungry beast. They drag the monster into the shadows while terrified servants watch the horror unfold. As Leo bleeds, the servants whisper his name with deep reverence. The legendary Sir Leo. Giselle stands paralyzed in shock until Leo turns his burning, righteous rage toward her. He roars at her stupidity, questioning why she'd stand still before a soul-eating demon. She tries to argue, but the sight of his mangled, dripping arms silences her soul. The Duchess shields her guest, but Leo's eyes flash with a hunter's murderous intent. "She's an outsider," he snarls. "We cannot let her leave this cursed house alive. Title or not, some secrets are too dark to let walk out the front door." Searching the empty chamber, Isaac finds Giselle gone. Perhaps their paths crossed in the shadows as she sought him out. Silence reigns, yet his gaze fixates on Carter. The man sleeps soundly, blissfully ignorant of the predator looming over his bed. A dark impulse surges. Carter's life is but a fragile thread in Isaac's claws. Yet, a haunting childhood memory paralyzes his hand. Mercy isn't his nature, but Giselle's hatred is a fate worse than death. He must restrain this bloodthirsty urge for her sake. He retreats into the night. If his lady commands a murder, he will obey. But for now, the husband remains alive. Within her carriage, Giselle's mind drifts back to the chilling confrontation with Leo at the mansion only a few hours earlier. That viper, Leo had unearthed her history, reciting her past like a death sentence while discarding his notes with cruel arrogance. He threatened to strip her bare, exposing every vulnerability and targeting those she loved if she dared to defy his will. But Giselle is no fragile doll. She coldly realized his threats were mere bluffs, born from his failure to find true leverage. Empty warnings only proved he lacked real power. Her sharp intuition pierced through his intimidation, leaving the blackmailer utterly frustrated and annoyed. Her defiance stung him, yet she offered a vow of silence regarding their dark affairs, unaware of the twisted irony. Their forbidden secret mirrors the monster she harbors in her basement, a creature of blood and shadow that binds her soul. The Duchess's cryptic words haunt her. It seems the High Noble is hunting Isaac, linked by a child bearing his likeness. Does that girl share his cursed nature? Does her strength also blossom only when she feasts upon the warmth of fresh blood? Giselle's heart aches, remembering Isaac's tear-streaked face. That image of vulnerability from a monster shatters her carefully guarded composure. She grips her silk gown, trembling. Isaac is a free spirit who chose to return, confessing a longing that felt dangerously intimate. He claimed to miss her as if she were his entire world. Why would a predator find solace in a lonely wife? Was it simple kindness that sparked this obsession? The thought of other creatures like him fills her with a cold, suffocating dread. What if someone from his past claims him? Fear pricks her eyes with tears as she realizes how deeply he has invaded her. This obsession has become her undoing, a psychological trap she walked into willingly. Suddenly, a sharp rapping echoes against the carriage glass. Her breath hitches at the sight of gleaming fangs pressing against the window. But the terror vanishes when she recognizes those eyes. It is Isaac. Before the driver can react, the creature slips inside, invading her private sanctuary with a predator's silent, forbidden grace. Trembling, she questions how he tracked her, haunted by the shadow-like persistence of his gaze. Miles from their cold mansion, he's breathless, as Isaac confesses. He simply couldn't endure the distance between them. Scouring the world for his lost prize, he abandoned his sanctuary to find her, igniting an uncontrollable fire in her heart. Tears fall as she pulls him into a feverish kiss, finally understanding the intoxicating weight of being someone's dark obsession. This lethal intimacy with Isaac is her only escape. If this forbidden bond ever broke, her soul would surely wither away. Fearing her inevitable return to misery, Giselle clings to this fleeting peace. She begins to wander down a dark path of memory. Now she realizes the truth. She wasn't just a child, she was a pathetic, unloved ghost. Her mother offered no warmth, while her father was a cold tyrant whose heart was made of frozen stone. He forbade even the maids from speaking to her, making Giselle wonder why they even let her be born. Left starving for a single drop of affection, she desperately sought comfort in the shallow noise of social galas. Following age 14, she became a fragile shell, easily lured by the poisonous honey of men's deceptive whispers. Sophia was a fragile gazelle, finding fleeting bliss in those desperate, love-starved moments. Young and radiant, she was sold to Carter by parents seeking a profitable union. He wore his gentlemanly mask perfectly, hiding his malice behind a facade of cold grace. Despite their age, his expert manipulation convinced her of a bright new life ahead. But that dream withered instantly. Once the vows were sealed, her nightmare truly began. Kindness vanished, revealing the oppressive, disgusting monster lurking beneath Carter's skin. Now, Isaac is her only sanctuary. Their forbidden heat offers escape from her agony. As the mansion looms closer, Isaac must vanish. No corner of the carriage can hide him. He leaps into the shadows, leaving only his haunting words as he disappears into the abyss. Back at home, Sophia descends. She enters the basement, prepared to face the darkness within. The heavy door swings wide, but the cell is vacant. Isaac's cage stands chillingly empty. A shattered lock, a terrifying omen. Giselle finally returns, catching Sophia haunting the mansion's cold shadows. She drifts through the shadows, chasing a phantom in the dead of night. The atmosphere turns chilling as Sophia demands the truth about the creature in the cellar. Blood spills as Sophia strikes the girl with a lantern, accusing her of setting it free. Relentless interrogation follows, but the girl clings to her innocence against Sophia's burning rage. Consumed by suspicion, Sophia banishes her from the estate without a shred of mercy. She demands the basement keys, but the servant remains silent as blood drips from her brow. Remembering her mistress 𝓕𝓻, the girl endures the pain to protect their forbidden secret. While chaos brews, Carter drowns his boredom in the red light district's illicit embrace. Unaware his prize has escaped, he finds solace in Roxy's arms, searching for a ghost. He sought a reflection of his wife, but Roxy is merely a hollow imitation. Roxy laughs at his obsession, mocking the twisted words he uses to describe his bride. He confesses he only bought her time because her eyes mimic the wife he neglects. A dark confession Roxy finds amusing, mocking his fragile act of being a devoted husband. She notes his frequent visits, a sign that his high society marriage is rotting from within. He agrees, lamenting that only a child could fix their cold, empty union. A strange tension hangs over her perfume, as Roxy sharply refuses his offer of a replacement. She ends the topic abruptly, guarding her favorite scent as if it held a secret. Roxy dissects his desperation for an heir, fueled by the tragic loss of his entire bloodline. Carter can only nod, while elsewhere, 𝓕𝓻 navigates the suffocating expectations of the elite. She joins the ladies of Rose Hill, celebrating Countess Williams's newborn granddaughter in a hollow display. Though usually indifferent to social games, a strange longing stirs within her frozen heart. Countess Williams pokes at the wound, asking about her 5 long years of childless marriage. False sympathy masks the sting, as 𝓕𝓻 watches a happy couple with their new blessing. She wonders if a child would bridge the chasm between her and Carter's fractured souls, yet she doubts even a miracle could save them, though the thought brings a fleeting smile. As the celebration peaks, a chilling rumor of a forest attack ripples through the room. It is no animal attack, but a gruesome homicide marked by human-like teeth. 𝓕𝓻 freezes, knowing those bite marks didn't belong to a beast, but a man. While the others dismiss it as gossip, 𝓕𝓻's mind races with the terrifying truth. The news is undeniable, sourced directly from the blood-stained reports of the local police. The high society ladies reject the horror, desperate to believe it was just a campfire tale. Countess Williams pulls 𝓕𝓻 back, linking the horror to past tragedies, including Carter's family. 𝓕𝓻 forces a nod, while her heart screams a single name: Isaac. Is it his doing, or are there other monsters hiding in the shadows of this world? She wants to believe Isaac is innocent, yet the doubt begins to poison her thoughts. As snow begins to fall, Isaac waits in the cold, a prisoner of fate. Inside, the mansion's walls feel like a cage as Sophia presents a suspicious tonic. It is a drug for her supposed infertility, an insult that sets 𝓕𝓻's blood on fire. She challenges Sophia's audacity, but the servant remains cold, demanding she swallow the dose. 𝓕𝓻 orders her to leave, planning to discard the foul medicine once she is alone. But Sophia refuses to move, her eyes fixed on 𝓕𝓻 with a predatory intensity. This blatant defiance sparks a war, as 𝓕𝓻 rejects the toxins Sophia tries to force. 𝓕𝓻 has nothing left to lose, but Sophia's mask of servitude finally shatters completely. She sneers, questioning 𝓕𝓻's very worth if she cannot produce a direct heir. Pushed to her breaking point, 𝓕𝓻 raises her hand to silence the treacherous woman. Seizing her wrist, 𝓕𝓻's eyes flash with cold fury as she demands Sophia watch her tone. Sophia sneers, mocking her childish antics and daring her to drop the pathetic, innocent act. She releases her with a contemptuous shove, letting the tray crash to the floor in defiance. The drugs shatter, a symbol of her discarded loyalty. She no longer fears 𝓕𝓻's petty threats. 𝓕𝓻 seethes in the silence. Meanwhile, Sophia descends the stairs, crossing paths with the master, Carter. He smells of wine. She hesitates, wanting to reveal the truth, but senses his clouded judgment. Seeing his drunken state, she offers to wait until morning to deliver her unsettling news. Carter grunts, insisting his mind is clear enough. He commands her to speak of her troubles. She confesses the unthinkable. The beast in the basement has escaped its dark, iron cage. Despite the maid's firing and the creature's disappearance, Carter remains chillingly indifferent to the danger. To him, it's merely a lost pest. He forbids any search, dismissing the creature's existence entirely. They believe 𝓕𝓻 is oblivious to Isaac's true nature. Sophia questions if they should inform her. Carter silences her. This secret is too dangerous for a fragile wife to handle alone. Upstairs, 𝓕𝓻's blood boils. Sophia's stinging insults replay in her mind like a broken record. How dare that woman judge her worth? Her burning resentment refuses to be extinguished tonight. Suddenly, Isaac appears at the glass. Her heart stops as Carter stumbles into the bedroom simultaneously. Terror grips her. Will he see him? But the shadows swallow Isaac before Carter can look up. The drunkard collapses onto the bed, unconscious. Isaac's keen senses must have warned him of Carter's approach. With her husband asleep, Giselle flees into the night. She finds Isaac and throws herself into his arms. He glows with wonder, mesmerized by the year's first snowfall dancing under the pale moonlight. Seeing his bare feet on the frost, she frantically gathers supplies to shield him from the cold. She wraps him in a heavy coat. Clasping his hand, she whispers a plan for a secret escape. They flee the manor's oppressive walls. Breathless and exhausted, Giselle finally collapses into the white drifts. Her lungs burn with the icy air, yet a wild sense of freedom surges through her veins. Lying in the frost, she finally smiles. Isaac watches her, his heart stirred by her rare joy. Her previous sorrow vanishes. However, her strange movements in the snow leave the creature deeply perplexed. He tilts his head, questioning her actions. Giselle beams, her laughter echoing through the silent woods. She's carving angels in the snow. She beckons him to join her in this innocent, celestial play. Isaac mimics her, gazing upward. For the first time, the infinite stars feel within his reach. "It's beautiful," he whispers. Seeing her bliss, a heavy question begins to weigh on his mind. He asks if he is the source of her happiness. Her soft yes warms his frozen soul. He wants to venture deeper into the forest, but Giselle's strength has completely failed her. He offers his back, a sturdy refuge. Wrapped around him, she enjoys a peaceful trek through the pines. Somewhere in the dark mountains, a carriage veers off a cliff, crashing into the jagged rocks below. A noble passenger lies broken, his legs crushed. Despite his agony, he searches for his missing driver. Silence reigns until a shadowed figure in a dark cloak emerges from the swirling blizzard. The dying man begs for salvation, offering gold. But the stranger seeks a far more precious currency. A predatory grin reveals sharp fangs. Fate has delivered a cruel end to this poor traveler. Meanwhile, Isaac leads Giselle to a derelict cabin. He quickly kindles a fire to fight the frost. The flames flicker as she shivers, her mind drifting to the comfort of a hot meal. Without warning, Isaac begins to strip. Her hunger for food is instantly replaced by sudden, sharp tension. "You too," he commands. Scandalous thoughts race through her mind as the atmosphere thickens with desire. He simply wants her wet clothes to dry. Yet, the intimacy of the moment feels dangerously forbidden. Huddled together by the hearth, warmth returns. Giselle sighs. "It's so warm," and Isaac softly agrees. He thinks she means the fire, but her gaze suggests her heat comes from somewhere else entirely. She leans toward the fire, mesmerized by his burning heat despite his icy skin. This strange warmth soon sparks a night of forbidden and breathlessly intimate desires. Giselle eventually falls into a deep slumber while Isaac watches her with obsessive devotion. She wakes with guilt, but he confesses that gazing at her is his only joy. With a tender kiss, he wakes her fully as she asks about his name. Was he born to that name? No. A stranger saved him from the streets. Intrigued, she seeks the truth about the man who once cared for this monster. Isaac admits the fate of his so-called brother remains lost to the shadows. He recalls how that man grew terrified and sold him like a common beast. To explain his darkness, he must return to the bloody dawn of his existence. His first memories are of freezing alleys and the boy who shared his life. They once shared a meager cookie, yet Isaac's unnatural hunger was never satisfied. His brother offered food, but Isaac craved a much more visceral and forbidden nourishment. To sate the beast, the brother allowed him to drink from his own veins. They spoke of a woman whose son bore a name of pure, noble grace, Isaac. The brother claimed it was the most magnificent name he had ever heard. He bestowed the name upon the creature, who accepted it with silent, eternal devotion. Their peace was soon shattered by the violent hunger of the brother's human stomach. Clueless of the world, young Isaac offered his own blood to the starving human. But they were different. A drop of blood would never fill a man's belly. Isaac tried to catch a mouse, yet the boy could not eat such filth. Realizing his failure, Isaac knew he had to hunt within the world of men. He knocked on a stranger's door, using his innocent face to beg for food. The homeowner was fooled by his beauty and tossed him a loaf of bread. Mission complete, he turned to leave, but the man's hand gripped him with malice. Isaac pleaded that the bread was for his brother, but the man demanded payment. A perverted price was demanded, and Isaac's world was stained by the man's greed. The brother searched the village until the child emerged from the midnight shadows. Isaac returned drenched in gore, clutching the bread with hands soaked in fresh blood. That horrifying image broke the brother's heart, planting a seed of eternal terror. Not long after, he was sold for coin by the only one he loved. He realized his monstrous actions had finally exhausted the boy's capacity for mercy. Giselle listens to the haunting tale, her heart breaking for the boy he was. He asks if she is repulsed, but she only feels rage toward his tormentors. She cradles him, whispering that his nature is a gift, not a curse. She vows to protect his happiness, but a sudden sting interrupts their tragic embrace. Pulling back, she finds a fresh bite mark blooming upon her pale skin. He admits that while cleaning her, his primal hunger had briefly overtaken his heart. Nearby, a traveler finds a wrecked carriage and two broken men in the dirt. He freezes in terror, witnessing one figure feasting on the other's lifeblood. The witness flees in panic, while Isaac carries his mistress home to her room. At her window, she hesitates, dreading his return to the cold, dark basement. She is reluctant to let him go, prompting a sudden, desperate proposal from him. He offers her a life of escape, yet her duties keep her caged inside. Before leaving, he promises to remain her shadow, forever bound by their secret. After their secret tryst, she creeps back through the window, sliding into bed beside the sleeping Carter. Her mind drifts back to Isaac, replaying their reckless escape and every stolen moment shared in the shadows. She desperately yearns for that enchantment to last forever, yet a heavy dread weighs on her heart. Fear of the fallout shackles her to this life. As dawn breaks, a grisly discovery summons the authorities. The police arrive at a carriage wreck, only to find the second mutilated corpse within a single month. Savage bite marks mar the victim's throat. They question the terrified witness who reported the midnight slaughter. The witness confirms the identity, trembling as he points to the very spot where the nightmare unfolded. When pressed for details, he reveals a chilling sight. He caught the predator in a gruesome embrace. He describes the attacker feasting on the neck, a claim so bizarre the officers demand an explanation. Shaking, the old man recounts how the monster buried its face in the flesh, drinking deeply. It was drinking blood. Only the fatal puncture wounds on the throat keep the officers from laughing. Though skeptical, they conclude a deranged madman is stalking the woods. Seeking a lead, they ask for a description to help hunt down this savage killer. The witness recalls a heavy cape that obscured the murderer's frame and attire. He saw ghastly pale skin, raven hair, and amber eyes that glowed with a predatory, animalistic light. Such a monstrous description stuns the police, who question if the witness truly saw clearly. They blame the dark of night, but the witness fiercely defends his terrifying account. That horrific image is burned into his soul forever. His conviction finally sways the wary officers. Realizing the truth, they dread the public hysteria and the endless manhunt that will surely follow. But Giselle's wild night in the snow has exacted a physical toll. A scorching fever takes hold. Suddenly, a maid enters, though her face seems unfamiliar. Delirious, Giselle demands a fresh gown and a cool cloth to soothe her burning skin. The voice that answers isn't Anne's, but Giselle is far too weak to question the stranger. She catches a familiar perfume, the same scent that often lingers on her husband, Carter. The woman isn't a servant, but Roxy, the seductive mistress Carter keeps in the shadows. Roxy studies her rival, surprised to find the frigid wife far more intriguing than Carter described. Through the haze, Giselle realizes this hand isn't Anne's and demands her real maid. Roxy scoffs, claiming the previous girl quit. She continues her intimate ministrations with a hidden agenda. As she wipes Giselle's skin, she discovers a dark bite mark a mark Carter could never leave. Roxy smiles. The perfect wife has a secret lover. Days later, a somber funeral commences. The forest's latest victim is laid to rest, attended by the elite, including Carter and Giselle. The massive turnout proves the victim was a pillar of their high society circle. As the service ends, whispers of the Rose Hill tragedies ripple through the crowd. It began with Carter's brother's fatal crash, but this new death feels far more sinister. This was no mere accident. While the men talk business, the noblewomen begin their own gossip. The fallen man was Countess Williams's heir, leaving the grieving family in a desperate state. With no male heir but an infant daughter, their lineage hangs by a precarious thread. Watching their world shatter pricks Giselle's conscience. They seemed so perfect before the darkness struck. A rumor spreads. The young Williams wasn't killed by a simple carriage wreck. A serial killer is loose, and the ladies whisper that the beast has struck again. They mention a witness who saw the monster, fueling the terrifying legends surrounding the woods. With the killer lurking in the trees, they warn each other to avoid the forest paths. Giselle ignores the idle chatter, her heart racing as she demands the grim truth. She asks for the killer's description, and the answer she receives mirrors Isaac perfectly. Fear spreads through Rose Hill like wildfire as the lines between man and monster blur. Chilling rumors of the forest massacre haunt the manor walls. Even the servants whisper of the blood-soaked tragedy. Morbid curiosity fuels a fire that refuses to die. Since William's heir perished, the shadows have grown teeth. Just as the tension reaches a breaking point, a new player emerges. Enter Roxy, the woman from the district. Disguised in a stolen maid's uniform, she prowls Carter's grand estate. Her presence is a ticking time bomb. She is utterly unhinged, and her true motive remains a mystery. But one thing is certain, scandal is coming. While creeping through the corridors, muffled shouts catch her ear. She pauses, hungry for a taste of dirty secrets. She overhears Carter and Sophia arguing about the nightmare downstairs. The beast that has been hunting in the dark? Sophia pleads for calm, doubting the creature's guilt. But Carter is paralyzed. The eyewitness accounts match the horror perfectly. Every description points to the same monster, the very nightmare they have been hiding beneath their floorboards. Roxy strains to listen, but the details remain blurred. Carter is unraveling, his voice trembling with deep-seated panic. He dreads the fallout if the truth escapes. If the world learns the killer came from his basement, he's finished. He fears the monster seeks vengeance for his family's sins, that it is gorging on blood to eventually kill him. Roxy is completely baffled by their cryptic words. Realizing she has heard enough, she slips away from the door. She knows a dark storm is brewing within these walls. This maid disguise was meant to be a playful surprise, but the heavy atmosphere tells her Carter isn't in the mood. She decides to play the long game instead. While Roxy retreats, the tension between Carter and Sophia remains. The basement secret is a weight they cannot drop. Sophia promises to fortify their defenses. Yet, Carter's skin crawls with the certainty that the predator is still home. He feels eyes watching him from the mansion's shadows, and he is right. Isaac never actually left his cage. Deep in the damp cell, Isaac waits patiently for Gazelle. The others think he fled, but he waits for her. Her footsteps echo in the dark, and Isaac's heart stirs. The moment she enters, he pulls her into an embrace. He is lost in a fever of hunger and longing. He stops listening to her, his instincts taking full control. In a surge of overwhelming obsession, he nearly sinks his fangs into her, a lethal kiss born of madness. Gazelle pushes him back just in time. A mark on her throat would expose their forbidden affair to everyone. She bares her porcelain wrist instead, offering him a sip. She whispers praise as he drinks with newfound gentleness. As he feeds, she watches him with soft, searching eyes. She asks if he has ever left without her permission. His confused expression tells her everything she needs to know. Her beloved monster is innocent of these gruesome crimes. She suspects another of his kind is the real culprit, perhaps like the girl she saw at the Duchess's estate. After his meal, Isaac heals her wound and pulls her close. Their dark, twisted bond is almost beautiful. She asks once more if she is his only link to the world. With a silent nod, he confirms devotion. Satisfied, Gazelle knows she must flee back to the light. She hides the truth of Carter's paranoia from him. Every second spent in the dark increases the risk. If she stays too long, her husband will surely find them. But Isaac clutches her dress like a child, his eyes pleading. He begs for just a few more moments. Who is the predator in the woods? What price will Gazelle and Isaac pay? Will Rose Hill survive the storm? This dark romance is just beginning to boil. Comment Gazelle below if you are dying to see what happens next. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Until the next chapter unfolds, stay safe and ciao.